You're watching News at Prime. Let's bring you this now. The Gauteng government has assured residents the first 3.8 billion rand paid to service the historical e-toll debt will not compromise service delivery. The province committed to paying 20 billion rand to settle the South African National Roads Agency after the unpopular user pay system was officially scrapped at the end of April 2024. Motorists, many of them, did not pay for using the upgraded highways, which ultimately collapsed the system. Let's get some detail now on where this money is coming from, and we speak to the Gauteng Finance Deputy Director General, Mncedisi Vilakazi. Mr. Vilakazi, good evening to you, and thank you for your time. It is the obvious question. The MEC not so long ago was talking about a possible bankruptcy of the province. Talk to us about where the money is coming from, therefore, to try and service this debt while making sure that service delivery is not compromised.
Thank you very much, colleague, for inviting us, and good evening to the viewers. Colleague, we tabled the budget at the beginning of the financial year on the 5th of March. And in that budget, it was then really tabled for 3 years. So if you really just then add up the amounts for the 3 years, you will obviously become aware that almost R500 billion rand budget was tabled by the Gauteng provincial government, and in that budget we had already obviously made a provision for e-tolls.
Yeah. So in so saying, therefore, are you telling us that this money is not borrowed? In other words, there is no debt created in order to pay off this particular debt?
Totally, we have really paid, as you know, that we are a Gauteng provincial treasury. We have really been able to pay from the provincial revenue fund the entire 3.8 billion rand that was required today.
Yeah. So the previous comments of the former, or should we say the recent MEC of Finance in Gauteng, Jacob Mamabolo, who suggested that the province may have to go and borrow money in order to settle this debt. Tonight, you are dismissing that suggestion outright.
MEC Maile was very clear today, and it's a view that we even share at a technical level, that it is not wise to borrow money to finance debt. So we have to really activate debt management strategies, I think, on our side, because it is a huge commitment that the province made end of March. But it's critical, I think, for the province to look at financing number of economic infrastructure projects that would be able to stimulate the Gauteng economy, considering the role that it plays in the national economy. So that's one of the things that he really emphasized then today. So which means that we really just then look at the long-term arrangement. First of all, the 5 years, we focus on just making sure that we service the debt as we have started today, then finish really paying off then the debt in the next coming 5 years, and then post that we then really look at how we then reorganize our finances.
So the Gauteng government is responsible for paying 20 billion rand of this debt. What is the portion that National Treasury is responsible for?
You'll remember that the Minister of Finance announced in 2022, when he presented his medium-term budget policy statement, that the national government was going to contribute 70% of then the historical debt and Gauteng committed to pay 30%. And that 30% is equal to 12.9 billion rand, just historical debt. And of course, then there is 4.1 billion rand, which is then just then there for maintenance. To really upgrade the very same roads. And I'm sure if you've been driving, around, you'll have seen the work that had already started, done by Sanral to rehabilitate the roads.
I'm not sure if you would have heard Mr. Wayne Duvenage's comments in the recent past. In fact, it was this weekend. He is with the organization Undoing Tax Abuse, outer, and he seemed to suggest that he doesn't understand where this debt is coming from, why it is that Gauteng is responsible for 20 billion rand debt. For him, it simply shouldn't exist. Do you agree with him?
I think the minister was very, very clear in 2022. It's a stalemate that had been there. Money had been borrowed way before 2010 to upgrade the roads that we were using in Gauteng. And it was necessary at some point that the people who invested their money in upgrading these roads needed to be paid. So a decision really was made in March to be able really to end that stalemate with that understanding and commitment to say, Gauteng, you will contribute 12.9 billion rand towards the historical debt, which started happening today as per the commitment that was made by provincial government.
Let's wind up this conversation because the words of the current MEC of Finance and Economic Development, Lebogang Maile, yes, he may have tweaked his language slightly, but he did talk about bankruptcy, although he walked those comments back. Today, he uses words like constraints, fiscal challenges. What is the economic situation or the fiscal situation for the Gauteng government?
The fiscal situation, as I indicated, that when the budget for the current financial year, it was presented over 3 years, so that everybody can then be able to see exactly all the sources of funding, exactly where the money will come from, our main source of revenue, equitable share, conditional grants, and own revenue. And as the MEC also indicated, the law permits him in cases really where he needs to be able even to supplement the sources even through borrowing. As he stated, that if that has to happen, it will happen even through the Loans Coordinating Committee chaired by the Minister of Finance, so that indeed we are able to still invest on economic projects that will stimulate the economy of Gauteng.
So how close are we from that point of approaching financial institutions to try and bail out the province if indeed it does come to a fiscal cliff of sorts?
As I indicated, I think even the MEC in his statement did say that based on a 5-year commitment, it means that even our budgeting approach and strategies have to be able to really take into consideration the commitment of 5 years, and then beyond then the 5 years to then look at how then do we then even repay even those financial institutions that could also even then come into the picture. I mean, as he even spoke about Gautrain extension, which is also then really coming to an end, the current concessionaire in 25-26. So the province had been able to honor that 20-year commitment. So beyond even that, we will not even be talking about a greenfield, meaning that there will be no money that will be invested for construction of the same facility. So those are all the resources that will then assist in then reorganizing and ensuring that there is stability in the finances of the province.
Yeah. Okay. So, but just to put it clear and in plain language, the Gauteng government is not facing bankruptcy.
MEC emphasized that point, and as technocrats, we can be able really to support, even with all the technical information, to say our finances are over a longer period of time, and that is why we are even using the medium-term expenditure framework, so that any person can then be able to see really, that the numbers are transparent, and that we are really accountable in terms of how we are going to be able to really balance every year. So you will then be able to see, even when he tables the medium-term budget policy statement in November, which is going to be the mini budget, and then again he will then table the 2025 in March, and the citizens of this province will then be able to see the trajectory of our numbers.